What's going on, Muscle Monsters? Alain Gonzalez here, and today I got somewhat of a fun video. Maybe a video that's going to break some hearts or get some people excited. But the real point of this video is for people to have real or realistic expectations of their physique goals, right? And this video is going to be, of course, about genetics, okay? Now, first and foremost, this video is not meant to, crush your dreams, right? This video is to help you realize what's realistic, what's not realistic, and what your goals really should be, okay? So, when it comes down to genetics, we're talking about, in this video, how much muscle you can build or how fast you can build it, how long your muscle heads are, and how thick or round your muscle bellies are, right? So I'll give you an example. There's two guys, there's me, and then there's this guy that I go to the gym, not with, but he's at the same gym as I am, okay? This guy has nice full biceps, nice round triceps, so round you can actually see them from the front. His shoulders are nice and round. He's just got nice, thick or round muscle bellies, okay? Me and this guy are about the same height and roughly about the same body fat percentage, give or take. Now this guy looks a lot bigger than I do and a lot more muscular than I do, but this guy actually weighs slightly less than I do, all right? Now, the difference here is the genetics, right? So when you have a goal of, say, I want to be 180 pounds, 10% body fat, you don't know what that's going to look like. You can find somebody who's 180 pounds at 10% body fat, but chances are you're not going to look that way. Now you'll be just as lean because 10% body fat is 10% body fat. However, the way the muscle is structured is going to be much different. One guy might look huge, one guy might look small. So here's what I want you to realize, okay, is that some guys have better muscle bellies than others. Some guys have more room for more potential to grow for growth in certain muscles, and most people have about average genetics in terms of how much muscle they can build. So for the most part, everybody can build about the same amount of muscle, right? Excluding the guys with the elite genetics and excluding the very small minority of guys with honestly bad genetics, okay? So again, most people, their potential for muscle growth or how much muscle they put on at the rate they put it on is about the same. All right, what's going to be the big difference is what it's going to look like. Okay, we can do two things to muscle. We can make it grow or we can make it shrink, or obviously we can maintain it. So I guess three things, but for the most part we can make the muscle grow, get bigger, or we can make it shrink or maintain it. Okay? So here's a cool trick I want to show you. When I talk about the length of the muscle and its potential for growth, here's what I'm talking about. If you go to the gym, you look at guys with skinny calves, what are you going to notice? You're going to notice that typically the guy with the skinny calves don't necessarily have small legs, although they could. But what they do have in common is that the calf insertion is high on the leg, right? So the space between the heel and the calf muscle, where it starts, is long. And guys with bigger calves, typically that space is a lot smaller. Thus, they have more potential for growth. So either genetically they have bigger calves or genetically they have more potential for growth. All right, same thing happens with the biceps, and I want you to do this from home. All right, get your arm at a 90-degree angle, and I don't want to flex right now because I don't want to rip this shirt. So get your arm at a 90-degree angle, flex the bicep, and you're going to see a space here. Now some of you guys will see a very tiny space where you could only fit about one finger between the bicep and the tendon. Okay, that means you have a long insertion or a long muscle head, right? The insertion is lower, so you have more potential for growth in your biceps. Okay, a guy like me, horrible bicep genetics, right? I could fit about 3 fingers between the bicep and the tendon, all right? Usually, somebody who can fit 2 fingers is already, you know, not great in terms of building muscle for their biceps. So when you can fit 3 fingers, then your biceps, they don't have that much potential, right? In terms of what they're gonna look like. Now, you can still build your biceps. You should still train your biceps. In fact, if you have bad bicep genetics, then this should be more of a reason to train them harder, not to deter you from training them at all, right? Because we want to bring these muscle groups up as best as possible. All right, now for me personally, I have great genetics for my chest. The chest genetics I have allow for a big, thick, round chest all throughout the entire pec, right? Upper and lower. And so for me, I'm not going to be able to say, hey, how do I get this line down the chest? Because genetically, that's not how I'm built. So if you're a guy who says, oh, I have this line down my chest, how do I get rid of it? Unfortunately, you can't. What you can do is train your chest as best possible and hypertrophy the chest as best possible, and whatever outcome you get is still going to be better than the starting point. All right? So the point of this video really is not to tell you that you have shitty genetics or that someone has better genetics than you, or that you have great genetics and you have better genetics than everyone else. The video is to just make you a little bit more aware of what is realistic for you in terms of building muscle, the way it's going to look. And if you have certain guys you're looking at and you say, oh, I want to look like that, so I should train like them, what do they do? It's not going to happen, right? There's nobody I can look at and say, I want my arms like his, because we don't have the same genetics.